Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braj Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braj Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Jamuna Tira Vanachari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda Radhe. Jaya Sita Ram Lakshmana Hanuman, Sita Ram Lakshmana Hanuman. Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivraj Kacharya Stotar Shakshi Srimad Bhai Charnaravind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivraj Kacharya Stotar Shakshi Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki. प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद की. All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottama Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. We're reading from Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 9, Lord Chaitanya's travels to the holy places. We'll be reading few verses. By the time the board will be ready, and we will read today's verse also. So I'll read the translation. There are about 8 and 9 verses, so I'm sure by that time we will have the board ready. You all can focus on Chaitanya Charitamrita rather than the board. So this is reading from text number 39. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then left Vriddhakashi and proceeded further. In one village, he saw that most of the residents were Brahmanas and he took his rest there. Due to the influence of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, many millions of men came just to see him. Indeed, the assembly being unlimited, its members could not be counted. The Lord's bodily features were very beautiful, and in addition, he was always in the ecstasy of love of Godhead. Simply by seeing him, everyone began chanting the holy name of Krishna. And thus everyone became a Vaishnava devotee. There are many kinds of philosophers. Some are logicians who follow Gautama or Kannada. Some follow the Mimamsa philosophy of Jaimini. Some follow the Mayavad philosophy of Shankaracharya. And others follow Kapila's Sankhya philosophy or the mystic yoga system of Patanjali. Some follow the Smriti Shastra composed of 20 religious scriptures, and others follow the Puranas and the Tantra Shastras. In this way, there are many different types of philosophers. All of these adherents of various scriptures were ready to present the conclusions of their respective scriptures. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu broke all their opinions to pieces and established his own cult of bhakti based on the Vedas, Vedanta, the Brahma Sutra, and the philosophy of Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu established a devotional cult everywhere. No one could defeat him. Being thus defeated by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all these philosophers and their followers entered into his cult. In this way, Lord Chaitanya made South India into a country of Vaishnavas. When the non-believers heard of the erudition of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they came to him with great pride, bringing their disciples with them. One of them was a leader of the Buddhist cult and was a very learned scholar. To establish the 9 philosophical conclusions of Buddhism, he came before the Lord and began to speak. Although the Buddhists are unfit for discussion and should not be seen by Vaishnavas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke to them just to decrease their false pride. Now we'll read verse number 49. Okay. Please repeat after me. Tarka pradhan buddha shastra navamate Tarke khandila prabhu na pare sthapite Tarka pradhan buddha shastra navamate Tarke khandila prabhu na pare sthapite Tark pradhan bauddha shastra navamate Tarke khandila prabhu na pare sthapite Mataji's. Tarke Sparistapite. Tarka Pradhan, argumentative. Bauddha Shastra, scriptures of the Buddhist cult. Navamate, in 9 basic principles. Tarkai, by argument. Khandila, refuted. Prabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Na, not. Pare, can. Sthapite, establish. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation. The scriptures of the Buddhist cult are chiefly based on argument and logic, and they contain 9 chief principles. Because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu defeated the Buddhists in their argument, they could not establish their cult. Purport is very long. We will be reading it and trying to understand it para by para, not the entire, because if we read the entire purport, you'll forget what is there in the first. So, before that, we will just try to understand what has been spoken in the previous verses, and then we will try to understand the purport given by Srila Prabhupada. So in the previous verses, we saw that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is traveling various places in South India. And what is the purpose? As is mentioned, that he is trying to establish the glories of bhakti. He is trying to make everyone into Vaishnavas. We just read that the entire South India into a country of Vaishnavas. So Mahaprabhu was traveling all over the places so that he can establish the cult of bhakti, or he was establishing the glories of bhakti over all other processes. That was the main purpose of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. And he preached in various ways. Like here we read that people saw the Lord, and they were just becoming devotees just by seeing the Lord. The Lord's bodily features were very beautiful, and just by seeing Him, simply by seeing Him, everyone began chanting the holy name of Krishna. We just read this in verse number 41. So Mahaprabhu preached in various ways. It is said, Bhakt kripa karen Prabhu etin swarupe. So Mahaprabhu showered his mercy in 3 ways. Teen swarupe. And what are the 3 ways? Sakshat avesh ar avirbhava rupe. So Mahaprabhu preached the glories of bhakti, the cult of Vaishnavism, by number 1, which we see here, Sakshat. So 3 ways are given: Sakshat, Avesh, and Avirbhav. Sakshat means by his personal presence, what we see as Mahaprabhu is doing here. So this was one of the ways for Mahaprabhu to preach. He was going, and just by looking at him, just by seeing his beautiful features, people would become devotees. They will start chanting the holy name. And not only that, say suppose Mahaprabhu goes to a village, and then many people, and wherever he was going, thousands and thousands of people were coming just to see him. You know? So Mahaprabhu would go to one village, the whole village will come, and even those who are not from that village, maybe they are visitors, they will also come and take darshan of Mahaprabhu, become devotees, start chanting the holy name, and when they go back to their village, seeing them, the whole village used to become devotees. Just imagine, how powerful preaching is, right? So this is how Mahaprabhu, he doesn't have to do, he doesn't have to, go through the Shastras and read and try to defeat. Of course he defeated, but it's nothing for him, just by his presence, sakshat. He was making devotees. And we see that in Prabhupada also, isn't it? We have examples, we have heard from many of Prabhupada's disciples that they just became followers of Prabhupada just by looking at him. Just how Prabhupada takes water, that's all. Right? One devotee, he saw Prabhupada drinking water and he was so attracted. Another devotee, he was just walking in the university. Prabhupada was sitting in a room, and from the window he just saw Prabhupada. He went ahead, came back, looked at Prabhupada, gave up his life. Just imagine, it's just by looking at him. People look at us so many times, nobody becomes devotees, right? Yeah? Just the opposite. Okay, they run away. This is how Mahaprabhu preached. So just imagine what will be attraction, like, just seeing Prabhupada and just looking at him. And not only that, it is quite possible that they had darshan of Prabhupada and they didn't become devotees at that time. But maybe 10 years, 20 years, 30 years down the line, they became devotees. We met so many people. I'm preaching in an area where there are a lot of colleges, universities. It's an hub of universities. So I was recently meeting a owner of a college, very big person, and he has a lot of institutions, schools, colleges. And when he met us, he says, I have met your Swamiji. He was studying in US that time when Prabhupada was preaching. Now he's very old, but he was studying at that time. And somehow or other he must have met Prabhupada. He said, I met him in New York. And so he was explaining. And then he says, I heard you're building a temple. He said, yes, I'm ready to support you whatever way you want. So I was just thinking, Prabhupada is still building temples. We are thinking that we are doing it, right? It's Prabhupada, he's inspiring them. He saw Prabhupada, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. When was that? I don't know. Now he's repaying that. So this is the power of Krishna, and this is the power of a pure devotee of the Lord. The people become devotees just by looking. So this is one way how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preached. It's called Sakshat. And we have so many examples of Mahaprabhu, how he went to so many places, even converted impersonalists, Mayavadis. He went to Varanasi and they just had darshan. Mahaprabhu just sat at one place. And then they came, they looked at him, and the effulgence, which was because Mayavadis are attracted towards Brahman, effulgence. So Mahaprabhu, displayed that effulgence, and just by seeing that, they surrendered. So, so this is one way. The second way is, first is Sakshat, and second, Avesh. Avesh means he was empowering, or rather we can say he was entering someone's body or giving that power to someone, what powers he had. There is an example of Nakula Brahmachari, and it was said that when he was speaking, thousands of people were coming to see him. Mahaprabhu was not there. He was a Nakul Brahmachari, he's sitting in thousands of people, and he was giving them all mercy. Everyone was becoming devotees, and people were saying, this is Avesh. And Shivananda Sen was not happy. He was doubtful. How is it possible? Because Shivananda Sen knows Mahaprabhu. So how is it possible? Is this Nakula Brahmachari is an imposter? Is he just showing that he is doing? Or does he really have the power of Mahaprabhu? So he went to see him. Shivananda Sen, not actually to see him, to test him. Many times it happens that, we are very, very doubtful of the things, especially after studying a university, and when we come out of the university and then they are told, oh, Krishna does miracles. And we say, we know it's all, it's just sentimental things. So Shivananda Sen was also doubtful that is it really Nakula Brahmachari has the power of Mahaprabhu and he's converting thousands and thousands of people? So he went and he stayed away. Nakula Brahmachari was sitting at one place and so many people were there and he just stayed away. He said if he really has the power, then two things he thought. First, he will call me on his own. I won't go. I won't go to him. And second, he will tell me which mantra I am chanting. That's only Mahaprabhu can do. That's only Paramatma can do, Super Soul, right? So then he said, if it is there, then I will believe that Mahaprabhu's Avesh is there. So Shivananda Sen was staying away. And then Nakula Brahmachari sent 2 or 3 devotees in different direction. Go and call Shivananda Sen. Go and call Shivananda Sen. So these devotees, they didn't know who Shivananda Sen. They started calling out, Shivananda, Shivananda, who's Shivananda Sen? Nakula Brahmachari is calling you. So the first condition was met. I was thinking that, when I was reading this, that as devotees also we have this doubtful mind, right? All the time. I went to one temple. It's in Karnataka, and there Jagannath, it's a Jagannath temple, but only Jagannath is there. Somehow Balbhadra, Subhadra is not there. But there they offer Jagannath. There's a very nice thing goes on there, which I had heard. They said that they have pots, earthen pots, as in Jagannath Puri they offer in earthen pots only. So there also they make every day. It's morning 10:30 around. They offer a bhoga to the Lord. And they keep about 10-12 pots full of sweet rice and other items. So as they keep the pot breaks into 4 parts. If it doesn't break, that means Jagannath has not accepted. So that's what I had heard. And when I went, I was like, maybe they are doing something, they are cutting it like this. Something must be there. How is it possible? We are always doubtful. So I went to see and I was standing right in the front because it is done in front of everyone. Not that, they hide and they didn't show. The pujari comes with the pots, he offers it to the Lord and he keeps it. As he keeps it, breaks into 4 equal parts. I was thinking even if we break it, it will not come 4 equal parts. It's all 4 equal. It just breaks like that. So I thought, let me go to the kitchen, find out what they do. Maybe they are cutting it properly. They have some system, right? How is it possible that it is happening? So I tried everything. I saw when the puchari was bringing, I was like, just let me see. I can't trust it that this can happen. But nothing. And then he just offered, kept, and I was just there seeing, is he breaking it? Is he doing something? Is he keeping it? Maybe because there is some system by which it breaks or something. I think he just offered, kept, and as soon as he kept, it broke into 4 parts. And then I said, I should start believing Krishna. Enough of doubting. So Shivananda Sen also was doubting that he's there. So finally he was called. And Nakul Brahmachari called him, and Shivananda Sen, was astonished. How does he know? Out of so many thousands of people, there is someone called Shivananda and he's waiting. And then when Shivananda Sen came in front of him, Nakul Brahmachari said, he was in the mood of Mahaprabhu. He said, Shivananda, you don't trust me? You still doubt that I am here? Shivananda was looking like that. And okay, I'll tell you. You are chanting 4-syllable Gauranga mantra. No, not Gauranga mantra, this is 4 syllables Gopal mantra. You are chanting. Bhaktivedanta Thakur explains that's Gauranga mantra. So he said, you're chanting 4-syllable Gopal mantra. And Shivananda Sen was astonished. How is it? I just thought that this should happen if he is there, if Mahaprabhu is there. And that's what happened. So this was another way how Mahaprabhu preached the glories of bhakti. One was Sakshat, giving his darshan, being present. Another was Avesh. And the third was Avirbhav. It is said that there are 4 places where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu definitely comes. Avirbhav, he's present there. One, when Shachi Mata, Mother Shachi, offers the bhoga. So he personally comes to eat. This is Chaitanya Charitam, it's mentioned. He personally comes to eat when Shachi Mata offers the bhoga. Second, when Nityananda Prabhu performs Kirtan, he definitely comes. So as soon as Nityananda Prabhu, we have seen that in Panihati festival. In Panihati festival, you all know it was a wonderful festival. It is called actually Danda Utsav, punishment festival. It was as a punishment given to Raghunath Das Goswami. Raghunath came and he offered obeisances, and then he was punished. Why are you offering from far? You should offer it from here. As Raghunath was thinking, how can I go close to Nityananda Prabhu? So he offered from far. But Nityananda Prabhu punished him. He said, you are a thief. Chor. He said, you are a thief. And I'll punish you. And what is the punishment? He said, Dadhi chida bhakshan karah mor gane, shuni anandit haila Raghunath mane. He said, you have to feed all my followers, Gane. What do you have to feed? Feed Dadhi chida. That's chipped rice and curd. So we have this Dahi chida utsav and flat rice. We have this, and we eat also some. I don't know whether you celebrate it here or no, but we do. And in that, when Nityananda Prabhu started singing, started dancing, Mahaprabhu appeared. Everyone saw it. They were astonished. How is it? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here. So, one place where Shachi Mata offers, second is Nityananda Prabhu, wherever he is dancing, and Raghav Pandit. There's a nice devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Raghav Pandit also in his kitchen. Mahaprabhu loves food prepared from his kitchen. So he is always there. And of course, in Srivas Thakur's Angan or place where the Kirtan goes on. Mahaprabhu came to give us this Kirtan and he started it at Srivas Thakur's house. Punyavant Srivas Angane Shubharam Uthil Kirtan Dhvani Gopal Govinda. Vrindavan Das Thakur writes that he has started this Kirtan. And that is why he says we should perform Kirtan every day, at least on Hari Vasare. Hari Vasare means the days which are very dear to Hari, Lord Hari, like Ekadashi and all other appearance day. That's why many of our temples on Ekadashi, they do throughout 24-hour Kirtan or 12-hour Kirtan, like that, continuous. Because that's what has been recommended. Shri Hari Vasare Hari Kirtan Vidhana Nritya Arambhila Prabhu Jagatera Pran. So Mahaprabhu preached in these 3 ways the glories of bhakti. I hope you'll remember. What are the 3 ways? Look at me. Sakshat, Avesh and Avirbhav. Yes. So this is we see here, and basically what Mahaprabhu was establishing, as we read here, he was making everyone as a Vaishnava devotee. And very important that Mahaprabhu was establishing the cult of bhakti and turning everyone into Vaishnavas, devotees of the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam and other places, the devotees are glorified. Lord Kapila speaks about the devotees, and he says, in general, the intelligent people, everyone knows that attachment in this world is cause of bondage. Jai Shri Radha Gokulananda ki jai, Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ji ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. So he says, in this world, attachment, any kind of attachment is the cause of bondage. Very nicely he has put in this verse. He says, Prasanganajaram pasham atmanah kavayo vidu sa eva sadhushu krito moksha dvaram apavritam. He says that attachment in this world is a cause of bondage, but if same attachment, sa eva sadhushu krito, if you have that attachment for the pure devotee of the Lord, moksha dvaram apavritam, you'll just be liberated by having attachment to the Vaishnava. And that is why we, morning, afternoon, evening, we chant, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada, to develop our attachment to Srila Prabhupada. So Bhagavatam says, Lord Kapila says, just be attached. Sa eva sadhushu krito moksha dvaram apavritam. You will be liberated. We may not be qualified. When Prabhupada was asked, Prabhupada, what is our qualification? Prabhupada said, no qualification. I gave you qualification. What is our qualification to perform bhakti? What is our qualification to serve the Lord? No qualification. We can just hold on to the dhoti of Srila Prabhupada and we'll have a backdoor entry to the spiritual world. So, be attached to a devotee. That's what instruction. And then, even if you're performing devotional service and you're not performing with the devotees, it will not yield fruits. Because Lord Kapila says, Satam prasangan mama virya samvido. You're hearing my pastimes here amongst the devotees. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido. Bhavanti hritkarna rasayana katha. When this rasayan, this medicine enters your ears and through the ears to your heart, bhavanti hritkarna rasayana katha, what will happen? Tajjoshanadasho apavargamartmani shraddha ratir bhaktir anukramishyati. Anukramishyati means one after another you'll have this. And what will you have? Faith, shraddha, rati, attachment to Krishna, and bhakti, pure devotion. Just by coming in association of devotees and hearing the pastimes of Krishna. This is the power of devotees. This is the power of bhakti. And we see, why is it? Because Krishna is attached to devotees. Sometimes he puts them in difficulties, isn't it? Maybe in London he is not putting them in difficulties. But he puts all his devotees. Right? Whether they are Pandavas or anyone. We see, life of a devotee is not an easy life. Krishna not always pampers us. Very nice, you're my devotee. And then he tests us also. He puts us in problems. Pandavas, Rajasuya Yagya was performed. So Yudhishthir became the emperor of the whole world. And just in some time, he was a beggar. Having nothing, lost everything, had to go to the forest. He could not even protect his own wife. During the disrobing of Draupadi, very, very nicely, a Vaishnava Acharya has depicted, says, when Draupadi was being disrobed, Agre kuru namatha pandavanam Dushasana hrita vastrakesha. Dushasan was pulling her sari. In fact, he brought her with the hair, catching her hair. And then, now in front of everyone, there were Pandavas, there were Kauravas, the whole assembly was there in front of everyone. Dushasana hrita vastrakesha. He's pulling the sari. And he was very powerful. It is said that Draupadi initially was trying to call Krishna. First she went to Pandavas or Kauravas. She went to Kauravas. Agre Kurunam. First she went to Kauravas. I'm your daughter-in-law. You are supposed to protect me. Nobody said anything, including Bhishma, Dronacharya. Everyone they were just sitting there. Then she went to Pandavas. You're my husbands. She had 5 powerful husbands. most powerful warrior on the earth, Arjuna, Bhima. She told them, you're supposed to protect them. They just couldn't do anything. In fact, Bhima was ready to do and stopped by Yudhishthira. We are slaves now. That's the reason they could not do anything. Said we are supposed to follow what Duryodhana says. So then Draupadi had no one. When Dushasana started pulling her sari, Draupadi was trying to hold on with both her hands, but Dushasana was very powerful, how much she can do. So then she thought of calling Krishna. She called out to Krishna. Krishna didn't come. Then she raised one of her hands and holding on the sari with other hand, calling out to Krishna. Krishna didn't come. Then she took the end of her sari and put it in between her teeth and then raised both the hands. Krishna didn't come. And in the end, it says, Agre kuruna matha pandavanam dushasanena hrita vastrakesha Krishna tada kroshadhananyanatha Govinda damodara madhaveti. Then Krishna, one of the names of Draupadi. And she understood there is no other person who can protect. I should not try to protect. I should completely surrender. So she gave up all her efforts. And she just raised both her hands and chanted Govinda Damodar Madhaveti. And Krishna came. So Krishna needs complete surrender. As long as you think even little bit, she was holding her sari in between her teeth, raising her hands. Krishna says, no, you still think you can protect. I'm not coming. But when she gave up everything, and she completely surrendered to Krishna, do as you wish. If you wish, you protect me. If you don't, it's okay. And then Krishna came to protect. So Krishna puts his devotees in difficulties. Pandavas were put. Ambarish Maharaj was put. Such a great devotee. Durvasa is going to kill him. Why? Why did you take water? Or why did you break your fast before me? And he was about to kill. And Sudarshan came. And Sudarshan started running behind Durvasa. When I was reading, I read twice and I was wondering, was the speed of, Sudarshan Chakra, the disc of the Lord, was so slow that Durvasa could not be killed. It's amazing. Like we said that he was running here and there. He ran entire earth. He went to the heaven. He went to Brahma. He went to Shiva. So what was Sudarshan doing? I didn't get it, why the speed was so less. So, but when you read it carefully, it is mentioned there that Sudarshan was not killing, he was just touching sometime. Like when Durvasa was running and when he was tired, and then Sudarshan will come and touch, and then he starts running again fast. So it was not that he wanted to kill. He was just, pushing him because he wanted him to know the glories of Ambarish Maharaj. And that is what happened in the end. When Durvasa, he ran everywhere. He went to Brahma. Brahma said, I'm not independent. You please go. I'm afraid of Sudarshan. He went to Shiva. Shiva said, I'm not independent. Go out from here. And then he went to Lord Vishnu. Please, it is your Sudarshan Chakra. Save me. Lord said, I'm not independent. So Durvasa was like amazed. He said, okay, Brahma says fine, Shiva says fine. You are saying I'm not, then who is independent? And why you are not independent? Krishna says, Aham Bhakta Paradhino. I am under the instructions or under the powers of my bhaktas. So if you want, go back to my bhakta. Go back to my devotee Ambarish. Beg forgiveness from him. And Durvasa was thinking, I'm such a great yogi. Ambarish is just a king, a family person. I'm a renounced man, right? Many times it happens, those who are renounced, they get puffed up, thinking that all these grahasthas, they're fallen souls, right? And look at me. I'm a renounced man. I've renounced everything. Of course, what we have renounced, if you really want to see, you should come to the ashram, you'll know what we have renounced. One time, in Mumbai, there was a lecture going on. I think it was Devamrit Maharaj, he was giving the lecture. And he was asked a question by a student. We are also bachelors, And these people, you call them brahmacharis. So what is the difference between us and them? It's the same. Maharaj answered something, and after the program was over, then there was prasadam. So for everyone there was khichdi being served, and for brahmacharis there was some special inside. So Maharaj went inside and he saw brahmacharis were having a nice feast there, with all, maybe 15 course meal or something like that. So he went out again and called that boy. You want to know what is the difference? Come, I'll show you. And then he took him inside. He said, see, this is the difference. But anyway, sometimes these people who are renounced, the brahmacharis wearing saffron, they get puffed up. I'm a great person. I have given up everything. And look at these grahasthas. They don't do this, they don't do that. So Dhruva also was like that. I'm a renounced man. And why should I go to him? And that is the time when Krishna spoke about devotees, power of devotees. He said, I reside in their heart and they reside in my heart. So if you really want, go back to him. And he came back. Even at that point, he was not convinced, but because Lord said he had to save himself, he came to Ambarish. And he stood in front of Ambarish. And what is Ambarish saying? The person whom you wanted to kill for no reason at all, he's telling the Sudarshan Chakra, the disc of the Lord, he's praying. And he's saying, if I have done anything good, if I have done anything pious, if I have done anything spiritual, take all the benefit, but please spare his life. And Durvasa was astonished. And he says, today I have seen what a devotee who is a Vaishnava. You're ready to give everything for me who tried to kill you for no reason at all. So Krishna puts devotees in difficulties. Why? First reason, because Krishna wants to increase our love for him. Kunti Maharani says, a unique prayers of Kunti. Nobody, I don't think so anyone else has prayed like Kunti. Where Kunti says, she remembers all the difficulties she went through. Vishan Mahagne Purushad Darshanat Asat Sabhayam Vanavas Krichyatah. She said, we had so many troubles. And what is she saying? Let all those calamities come again and again in my life. Whenever I speak on this, I warn devotees, don't ever repeat this prayer. If Krishna listens to you, then you'll not be able to tolerate. That you say, okay, I was in hospital, please, that calamity come again and again. And Krishna says, okay, go back to the hospital. So Kunti Maharani is praying like that. Why? Because she gives the reason. She says, my remembrance of you increased many times. And one who can remember you, he doesn't have to come back to the world again. So please give me problems. So Krishna puts his devotees in difficulties to increase their love. Krishna puts devotees in difficulties to glorify them. When he arrested Bali Maharaj, we know that story. Bali Maharaj surrendered everything. He was cheated. Actually, he was cheated by the Lord. But he gave everything. And in spite of that, he was arrested. And Lord said, you will go to hell. Can you imagine? You're giving everything to the Lord. And Lord said, you'll go to hell. Why? Because you have not fulfilled your promise. And Brahmaji, all others were standing there and all others were saying, very good, what you have done, very good. Wife of Bali Maharaj says, very good, Lord, what you have done is good, correct. He deserves this punishment. All others were saying, but Brahmaji could not take. Brahmaji went to the Lord and he said, Lord, I have heard that you get satisfied by patram pushpam phalam toyam. Isn't it? That's what you say. That if you offer me a leaf, a flower, some water, I'll be satisfied. He has offered the entire universe. So many flowers, so many leaves, so much of water. And still you are not satisfied. What is it? And there the Lord says, I want him to be glorified for the ages to come. And that is what we are doing today. So Krishna puts devotees in difficulties. And that is why Prabhupada, right? Did he have a very smooth journey from India to New York, India to America, and even in America, was it like everything ready for him? He landed and then Mercedes was standing there and this, Prabhupada said, okay, come on, we have started a movement. So much of difficulty, right? The other day also I was telling in the lecture that when I was reading this, I wasn't happy. Because I was thinking, Krishna could have given a flight ticket to Prabhupada. Isn't it? He had to take 1 month journey. We don't take it, right? I came from there 10 hours here. And 1 month. To whom? To an Acharya who's going to start movement for him, for Lord. And this International Society for Krishna Consciousness, why not a flight ticket? And even the ticket which he got on a cargo ship, he had to beg. That Sumati Morarji, he was going there, standing there, and the assistant, the secretary will say, sorry, Swamiji, madam is busy. Please come some other time. He'll come another time. Sometimes he used to wait at the stairs. That she will walk down the office, I will talk to her at that time. This is Prabhupada. Why he put so much difficulties? So Krishna has his own ways. And then I thought, yes, that is there, but see the glory he has given to Prabhupada. Nowadays people become famous on social media, so many views, so many likes, so many subscribers. But how many times, maybe how many months, or maybe year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 years, right? The glory Prabhupada has got, that the whole world is going to take his name for next 10,000 years. That is Prabhupada's glory. So then I was satisfied, it's okay, he didn't get flight ticket, no problem. Prabhupada was asked one time, what will happen to ISKCON after 10,000 years? Prabhupada said, there will be no ISKCON after 10,000 years. Oh, what will happen? No ISKCON. Where will we go? How will we get prasadam? So Prabhupada said, there won't be any ISKCON after 10,000 years. We all will be in the spiritual world. That is Prabhupada. So we see that difficulties come. But Vaishnava means one who never leaves Krishna. Prabhupada has some expectations from us. How a Vaishnava should be. Prabhupada in various letters has mentioned that how a Vaishnava, how a devotee should be. Number one thing he said, should be responsible. In a letter he says to a devotee who wanted to take sannyas, he said, first be responsible in your household duties. Then I will give you sannyas. So, the first thing which Prabhupada expects from us is to be responsible. Second thing, obedient. Obedience is the life of a disciple. So obedient. He writes in a letter, that follow the orders of the Guru, everything will come. So second thing, he expects us to be obedient. And the third thing, he expects us to have regulated life. Live a regulated life. And in a mood of das, das, dasanudas. Not boss, boss, bossanu boss. Servant of the servant of the servant. Prabhupada says 100 times. Mukundamala Stotra Kinkulashekar writes, 7 times he says, Tava bhritya bhritya bhritasya bhritya. I want to be the servant of 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 your servants. Did I say 7 times? But it is 7 times, even if I didn't say. This is a devotee. This is a Vaishnava. He is very, very powerful, but at the same time, he is very meek and humble. Powerful in terms of spirituality. And when we talk of responsible, we should be responsible in both in our material duties as well as spiritual duties. If you are a householder, if you are a brahmachari, or if brahmacharis don't have much of material duties, but at least householders, then take care of your material duties. and be responsible in that. And at the same time, spiritual duty in your service to the Lord, be very responsible. Many times it happens that, we are serving and sometimes, I have to serve. I've got this service and that service. You should be very happy running for the seva. So in this way, Mahaprabhu was preaching the glories of bhakti and making everyone Vaishnavas. And then in the today's purport, we'll just read the purport today. This purport is very long, but we'll quickly read and take out few very nice points which Prabhupada has mentioned. The purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur states that according to the Buddhist cult, in this purport, Prabhupada is defeating the 9 points given by Buddhism, which are given in the Buddhism. And let me tell you, there is a confusion about Buddha, Lord Buddha. We say we accept him as incarnation of the Lord, but don't accept his teachings. Isn't it? How is it? I say, I accept Radha Gokulananda as my life and soul, but he's asking me to give up tea. I will not give it up. But he's my life and soul. So we do that. Like we say, we accept Buddha as incarnation. He's accepted, Bhagavatam says. He is one of that incarnations. But we don't accept his teaching. Why? There is a reason. I will explain you. We have time, right? Today the class goes on a little late. And I'm seeing all of you are not sleeping, so I can go on for some time. If you feel sleepy, please let me know. I will speak little louder. The script... So what you thought? I'll say, okay, go on sleeping. Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur states that according to the Buddhist cult, there are 2 ways of understanding philosophy. One is called Hinayan and the other is called Mahayan. Along the Buddhist path, there are 9 principles. So what are the 9 principles Prabhupada is mentioning? Creation is eternal, therefore there is no need to accept a creator. Wow. Such a nice thing, no? Creation is eternal. Eternal means no beginning, no end. Then how can there be a creator? Very nice. This cosmic manifestation is false. I am is the truth. There is repetition of birth and death. Lord Buddha is the only source of understanding the truth. And the principle of nirvana or annihilation is the ultimate goal. The philosophy of Buddha is the only philosophical path. The Vedas are compiled by human beings. Pious activities showing mercy to others and so on are advised. So please understand, when we talk of Buddha, there were 2 Buddhas at different time. And in general, they have been mixed. The philosophies which they propagated has been mixed. And that is why what we get today is not the philosophy given by original or Vishnu Buddha. Even in their text, Buddhist text, it is accepted. They have mentioned various kinds of Buddhas. Number 1, they say is Adi Buddha. Adi Buddha means Lord Vishnu. Then there is Bodhisattva Buddha. Bodhisattva Buddha means who got enlightenment. And there are like that, various names have been given. So, the one which we hear, Gautam Buddha, right? We have been hearing this for a long time. He is not the incarnation of Vishnu. Yes, I said that. There is a study, research done by our devotees, ISKCON devotees, and what I'm speaking is based on that research, which has already been published. So this Buddha, that Gautam, that story we hear, he was son of the king, and then, after that he just got detached completely, left the house, and then he sat below a tree and got enlightenment. That is not Vishnu. And this is accepted in their text only. He is Bodhisattva. He's got enlightenment. But he's not Vishnu. And mind you, these two Buddhas which we are talking, they came at different times. There was a difference of about 1200 years in their appearance. One appeared 1800 BC, another appeared 560 BC. So, There are two, but because there's so much of difference, people have just combined. And this combination was done by Shankaracharya. So because of that, we accept that, okay, there is only one. Because Shankaracharya in his teaching has just made both as one. So there were two Buddhas, one who appeared in Gaya, India. The other appeared in Lumbini, Nepal. Right? So there were two Buddhas, two different times they appeared. So the Gautam, which we call son of king, etc., actually he is a living entity. And he is the one who gave this impersonal philosophy, not the Vishnu. Vishnu, what he gave is, yes, path of non-violence. He said, don't follow the Vedas because they were misusing the Vedas. Prabhupada writes that. So they were misusing the Vedas, yes. So he said, give up the Vedas, what I say you do. And he gave the path of non-violence. But then the other Buddha, he gave this monoism, he gave all these things what they are following Buddhist. And when Shankaracharya came, he wanted to defeat them, he wanted to throw them out. So he just combined. He didn't mention that there are two. And so from that time onwards, we just think that there's only one Buddha. And that is the reason now we are very clear that being the Lord, why are we rejecting His teaching? We are not rejecting His teaching. We are rejecting the teachings of the other Buddha. So be very clear in your mind. Many times people can ask, oh, you accept Him as the incarnation and you're not accepting His teaching. Then what kind of followers you are? We accept His teachings. His teaching is non-violence. We accept non-violence. That's what we are doing. One of the 4 regulative principles, non-violent. Yes, we are accepting His teachings. But we are not accepting what is said. So this is, be very clear about it. We have a lot of doubts. I have a lot of details on the two Buddhas. We are not going now in detail. We have to complete the purport also. But please, this is a very important point that one should know, so that we can, because the question came one time to me in a class, that you're saying he's an incarnation and you're not taking his teachings. And I didn't have the answer at that time. And I said, no, because he gave this. Why he gave? This is Lord's teaching. Why are you not accepting? And I myself was not convinced. How can I convince others? But now I'm convinced that this was not given by the Lord. Prabhupada writes further, no one can attain the absolute truth by argument. One may be very expert in logic and another person may be even more expert in the art of argument, because there is no such word jugglery in logic. One can never come to the real conclusion about the absolute truth by argument. The followers of the Vedic principles understand this. However, it is seen here that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu defeated the Buddhist philosophy by argument. Those who are preachers in ISKCON, now instruction for preachers Prabhupada is giving. And I'm sure there are some preachers sitting here. Those who are preachers in ISKCON will certainly meet many people who believe in intellectual arguments. Most of these people do not believe in the authorities of the Vedas. Nevertheless, they accept intellectual speculation and argument. Therefore, the preachers of Krishna consciousness should be prepared to defeat others by argument. So, preachers of Krishna consciousness should be prepared. Preparation is read Prabhupada books. That's our preparation. If you read Prabhupada books, you can defeat anyone. Just Bhagavad Gita. In the introduction of Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada writes this, that if you read Bhagavad Gita, you can defeat anyone in the world. Of course, we are not reading to defeat people, but we should be prepared. If there is opposition, we should be able, like Mahaprabhu is defeating these people. Okay. Where is it? Should be prepared to defeat others, but just as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did. In this verse is clearly said, Tarkai Khandila Prabhu. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu put forward such a strong argument that the Buddhists could not counter him to establish their cult. Their first principle is the creation has always existed, but if this were the case, there could be no theory of annihilation. The Buddhists maintain that annihilation or dissolution is the highest truth. If the creation eternally exists, there is no question of dissolution or annihilation. This argument is not very strong because by practical experience we see that material things have a beginning, a middle and an end. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says Those who are intelligent, they do not take interest in those things who have a beginning, who have a middle, and who have an end. Krishna says that. What's that verse? Anyone remembers? Naramate Buddha. Is it? Ada anto cha madhye. No, not that. Is it yahi spansparsha? Yahi spansparsha jab hoga. Yeah, okay. Yahi spansparsha jab hoga dukkha yoneya evate adyantavanta kaunteya nateshu ramate Buddha. So Krishna says that if there is beginning, there is end. And Buddha means intelligent people do not take interest in that. No, this is the verse I've already spoken. Yahi sansparsha jab hoga. The ultimate aim of the Buddhist philosophy is to dissolve the body. This is proposed because the body has a beginning. Similarly, the entire cosmic manifestation is also a gigantic body, but if we accept the fact that it will always exist, there can be no question of annihilation. Therefore, the attempt to annihilate everything in order to attain zero is an absurdity. By our own practical experience, we have to accept the beginning of creation, and when we accept the beginning, we must accept a creator. Such a creator must possess an all-pervasive body, as pointed out in Bhagavad Gita. Everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes, heads and faces, and he has ears everywhere. In this way, the Supersoul exists, pervading everything. Have you seen like that anywhere? Everywhere his hands, everywhere his eyes? How many of you have seen? Everywhere his hands, everywhere his eyes, legs. None of you? You've seen? What? Hey, that is there, but have you seen? I'm asking, any of you have seen his arms and legs anywhere? Bhagavad Gita is also saying, yes. No, written is there. Bhagavad Gita also written. Yes, that is what I'm asking. Have you seen or no? Nobody can see? I will show you. Okay. You want to see? His hands and legs everywhere? All of you? Ready? You're saying no one can see? I'll show you right now. Now, one of the names of Krishna is that he's Rishikesh. Rishikesh means master of the senses. So all the senses which we have, hands, eyes, legs, whom does it belong to? So you see everywhere hands? Raise your hands, raise your hands. Now you see everywhere hands, this is Krishna's property. So how are you saying you are not seeing Krishna's hands everywhere? That is why it is said that his hands are everywhere, his eyes are everywhere. Isn't it? I showed you? Thank you. The Supreme Person must be present everywhere. His body existed before the creation, otherwise he could not be the creator. If Supreme Person is created being, there can be no question of creator. I was asked by, one time I was traveling, a person met me who wasn't following personal features, who was not accepting. So he said, why are you worshipping creation? You should worship creator. I said, we are worshipping creator. Krishna is the creator. He said, no. He has been created because he has taken a form. Anything which has taken a form is creation. Somebody created. He got created. That is creation. You should worship creator who has no form. So I said, if he has no form, have you seen him? How do you know he is creator? I mean, he has no form. So then how do you know he is creator? I said, have you seen him? He said, no. Has anyone seen? No, he is beyond the curtain. So I said, our founder Acharya has taken off the curtain and we can very clearly see who is the Supreme Lord. So this is that just, mental speculation. That Krishna is creation, he is not the creator. So this is what Prabhupada is writing here. The Supreme Personality cannot be a created being, he is the creator. The creator is Parabrahma or the Supreme Spirit. Matter is not only subordinate to spirit, but is actually created on the basis of spirit. When the spirit soul enters the womb of a mother, the body is created by material ingredients supplied by mother. Everything is created in the material world, and consequently there must be a creator who is the Supreme Spirit. Einstein, he was like not an atheist person. Or who else? One more. In some places, of course, they were scientists, but I think Newton also. So one time a friend came to his house and then he saw a model of solar system. Solar system, sun, and it was a working model. So the planets were going around, and this friend was amazed. He said, "How did you get it?" He said, "Actually, I slept in the night and in the morning I got up, this was here." He said, "How is it possible? How can it, somebody must have made it." He said, "No, I slept in the night, nothing was there, I got up, it just came on its own." He said, "How is it possible?" He said, "You all are saying that the whole universe came without the creator. So why can't this model come without the creator?" And then he said, "If this model cannot come without the creator, how can you think the whole universe, the whole creation has come without the creator?" This purport is very nice. We can go on discussing on this for another 2-3 hours till we start our festival. The Buddhists argue that the world is false, but this is not valid. The world is temporary, it's not false. As long as we have the body, we must suffer the pleasure and pains of the body, even though we are not the body. Very important thing Prabhupada has written here. We may not take these pleasures and pains very seriously, but they are factual nonetheless. The devotees are not supposed to take pains and pleasures seriously. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkhada. Tolerate happiness and distress. When I read that, I said, distress is okay if you're telling me to tolerate. What is the meaning of tolerate happiness? Who tolerates happiness? Krishna says tolerate. A devotee has to tolerate. Means he doesn't get carried away. It's okay. Happiness is there, fine. Distress is there, fine. He's not bothered. He's going on serving the Lord. So Prabhupada writes the statement. It's a very important statement. He says that we may not take these pleasures and pains very seriously. And we are not concerned about so. But yes, they are there. They are factual. But you don't take them very seriously. If the bodily pains and pleasures, the creation would be false also, and consequently no one would take very much interest in it. The conclusion is that the material creation is not false or imaginary, but is temporary. Oh, we have 2 more pages of purport. We'll finish. The Buddhists maintain that the principle I am is the ultimate truth, but this excludes the individuality of I and you. If there is no I and you or individuality, there is no possibility of argument. The Buddhist philosophy depends on argument. But there can be no argument if one simply depends on I am. Whom will you argue with? If only I am the truth, then whom are you with? To argue, you need 2 people, right? You're going to argue with someone or with your own self. So they say, I am, that's all. So then why argument on logic? Where is it coming? See how nicely Prabhupada has defeated this purport, entire Buddhist philosophy, just thrown away. The existence of individual soul and supersoul must be there. This is confirmed in the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, wherein Lord says, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in future shall any of us cease to be. So, we existed in the past in different bodies, and after the annihilation of the body, we shall exist in another body. How many of you remember which body you were in last life? Any of you remember last life? But were you there in different body? Yes or no? At least that you accept? I said, we don't know, maybe we were there. People have this conception that there is only one life, so enjoy. Isn't it? Anyway, you're going to die and there is nothing after death, there was nothing before the death, this is the only life you have got, just enjoy to the end, even while you're dying, take something and then die. This is what they feel, right? This is their argument. I was in Haridwar one time and I saw there was a liquor shop. Of course, places like Haridwar also has such things. So there was a liquor shop and 2 boys were standing buying beer bottles and distributing free to everyone. What wow? Come on, yeah, you're sitting in the temple. This was years back, don't worry now. So I went to the boys, I said, what are you doing? I mean, it's something very strange that you're taking beer bottles and distributing. He said, actually, we have come here to perform last rites of our father. So I said, so? I mean, there's no connection, right? So he said that actually when my father was dying, he had this last wish and we could not fulfill. He wanted to drink before going and it was not available at that time. So now we are fulfilling the desire of our departed father and we are distributing this so that, he should be happy. I said, he died of drinking, now you're killing all others. So anyway, people have this. Okay. The principle of the soul is eternal, and if it exists in the body or in another body, even in this lifetime we experience existence in a child's body, youth's body, man's body, and an old body. After the annihilation of the body, we acquire another body. The Buddhist cult also accepts the philosophy of transmigration, but they do not properly explain the next birth. There are 8.4 million species of life, and our next birth may be in any one of them. Therefore, the human body is not guaranteed. Don't think you will become human again unless you perform devotional service. If you perform devotional service, then you are guaranteed at least you will be human in next life. According to Buddhist fifth principle, Lord Buddha is the only source for attainment of knowledge. We cannot accept this, for Lord Buddha rejected the principles of Vedic knowledge. One must accept a principle of standard knowledge because one cannot attain the absolute if everyone accepts his own intelligence as the ultimate criterion. As it is presently fashionable, the scriptures will be interpreted in many different ways and everyone will claim that his own philosophy is supreme. This has become a great problem and everyone is interpreting scriptures in his own way and setting up his own basis of authority. Yatamata tatapat. Now everybody and anybody is trying to establish his own theory as the ultimate truth. The Buddhists theorize that annihilation or nirvana is the ultimate goal. The annihilation applies to the body, but the spirit soul transmigrates from one body to another. If this were not the case, how can so many multifarious bodies come into existence? If the next birth is a fact, the next bodily form is also a fact. As soon as we accept a material body, we must accept the fact that the body will be annihilated and that we will have to accept another body. If all material bodies are doomed to annihilation, we must obtain a non-material body or a spiritual body if we wish the next birth to be anything but false. How the spiritual body is attained is explained by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. This is the highest perfection, to give up one's material body and not accept another body, but to return home back to Godhead. It is not that perfection means one's existence becomes void or zero. Existence continues, but if we positively want to annihilate the material body, we have to accept a spiritual body, otherwise there can be no eternality for the soul. We cannot accept the theory, just 2 more paragraphs, please bear with me. We cannot accept the theory that the Buddhist philosophy is the only way, for there are so many defects in that philosophy. A perfect philosophy is one that has no defects, and that is Vedanta philosophy. No one can point out any defects in Vedanta philosophy, and therefore we can conclude that Vedanta is the supreme philosophical way of understanding the truth. According to the Buddhist cult, the Vedas are compiled by ordinary human beings. If this were the case, they would not be authoritative. From the Vedic literature, we understand that shortly after the creation, Lord Brahma was instructed in the Vedas. It is not that the Vedas were created by Brahma, although Brahma is the original person in the universe. If Brahma did not create the Vedas, but he is acknowledged as the first created being, where from did Vedic knowledge come to Brahma? Obviously, the Vedas did not come from an ordinary person born in the material world. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye, after the creation of the Supreme Person, the Supreme Person imparted Vedic knowledge within the heart of Brahma. There was no person in the beginning of the creation other than Brahma, yet he did not compile the Vedas. Therefore, the conclusion is that the Vedas were not compiled by any created being. Vedic knowledge was given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead who created the material world. This is also accepted by Shankaracharya, although he is not a Vaishnava. It's 9 o'clock, but we have just the last paragraph. We'll read it. It is stated that mercy is one of the qualities of a Buddhist, but mercy is a relative thing. We show our mercy to a subordinate or to one who is suffering more than ourselves. However, if there is a superior person present, the superior person cannot be the object of our mercy. Rather, we are object of the mercy of the superior person. Therefore, showing compassion and mercy is a relative activity. It is not the absolute truth. Apart from this, we also must know what actual mercy is. To give a sick man something forbidden for him to eat is not mercy. Rather, it is cruelty. Unless we know what mercy really is, we may create an undesirable situation. If we wish to show real mercy, we will preach Krishna consciousness in order to revive the lost consciousness of human beings, the living entity's original consciousness. Since the Buddhist philosophy does not admit the existence of the spirit soul, the so-called mercy of the Buddhist is defective. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much for tolerating me. I'm supposed to stop at 9 o'clock, so we don't have time for question answers. I don't know, do we take question answers after 9 or generally not? It is written here. Class should finish at 9 a.m. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'm here for some time. If you need some discussion, we can do that. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrit ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Oh, is it? That's why. Oh, I said that. Sorry for that.
I'm sorry, then Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,